Welcome to the ACC Panic Room alongside Lauren Brownlow. I'm Joe Ovies. And look, State tries. They fight. They make mistakes as a youthful team. Sometimes they got a talent deficiency, but they try. They ran into a Duke team that's turning it around post-COVID issues. And Mark Williams was too much for them. We knew that Duke was going to have too much for them on the inside, and it played out exactly like that.
I mean, the moment I heard Ernest Ross wasn't going to play, I was like, look, I know that they kept it close against Purdue, but I don't know. Like, this might just be asking a lot. And turns out it was asking a little too much. And then I think you also have to give a lot of credit to Duke's defense. Like, State came in playing very well offensively. Darian Sebron was playing very well. Jaquavian Smith has been playing well. And those two had to take a lot of shots to get their points. And I think that's a credit to Duke, too. I mean, they didn't, they had their moments and they were able to score at times, but Duke kind of clamped down on both of them. They made everything difficult. And so, Duke's elite level defense combined with the fact that State essentially had like one functional big guy. And that was always going to be a bad recipe.
Yeah, I think Duano picked up his second foul with about 9 minutes to go in the first half, and that's when things started to get away from NC State. However, NC State did shoot the ball well in the first half. At one point, they were shooting around 52%. I think they closed the half at 47 or 48%. But Duke, I don't know if this comes across on television, okay? It's one of those you have to be there to see it type thing. Duke's got grown-ass men. Like, I really don't know how else to put it, okay? So you've got their freshman trio, Paolo Banchero, which I think most people understand, Trevor Keels, who is a dude, and A.J. Griffin has been coming on. Although they didn't even need A.J. Griffin today. He started the last game, and he's been giving him big minutes off the bench and whatnot. And they're interestingly deep, too, because Wendell Moore is kind of going through some things right now, but they haven't necessarily needed him. But here's the depth. Mark Williams has been quietly solid throughout the season, and when the mismatch was there for them to take, Mark Williams absolutely took advantage of it, and he damn near had a triple-double.
Yeah, it was unreal. And I mean, sometimes it's really just that simple. Sometimes basketball is that simple.
Yes. As I tweeted out, it be that way sometimes. And that's kind of how it played out at Cameron.
I mean, look, I know that this is not like a try-hard competition. I understand that about basketball. I understand that about college basketball. Like, I get that. But I know I keep beating this horse, but I think that it's worth reiterating the fact that, like, they cut it. They were down like 20, almost 20, basically, multiple points in the second half. They cut it to 9, I think, 3 times, late in the game. There was they knew they were going to lose. They had to understand that, and they just still kept fighting. And there's a lot to be said for that. Like, that is something. It's not nothing. Is it everything? Like, would it be enough to save Kevin Keats if things keep going south like this year and probably next? Like, no. But at the same time, it does make that team worth giving your attention to and your support to, I think, if you're a State fan, because they are not quitting on you. You know what I mean? Like, they're not quitting on the season. They're not quitting on any of these games. They fight, and they're worth appreciating, I think, for that reason, if nothing else.
Yeah, that was only their second double-digit loss of the season. Fun fact, their only other double-digit loss was to Wright State.
I mean, that tracks for this weird season, so
Yeah. So they have been in every game. It's a very NC State thing of them to do, but I think people need to understand, we're State fans, I think most State fans understand that Duke's going to do that to a lot of teams in the ACC as they get back to where they were before the Christmas break and the COVID pause and everything else. It's interesting. I had, about the no quit, I get it. I mean, I really do. Like, I'm not trying to be condescending in any way, in that fans in the middle of a game and they see the team start to get blown out there in the second half, you're frustrated. I get it. And, I had one guy in my mentions who was like, well, this team has quit on Keats. I'm like, I don't know what team you're watching. I really don't know what team you're watching. And the game's not even over yet.
This team would never go to the Smith Center or anywhere else and lose by 50 to anybody. This team would not do that. I don't care what their circumstances are. They got enough healthy bodies. There's no way that happens to them.
The issue for Keats right now, and Mike Krzyzewski was very complimentary of Kevin Keats after the game, and he even said, what are they, 2-5 in conference right now? They could easily be 5-2 given the way that they've been playing. Absolutely. So and he's right. Mike Krzyzewski's absolutely right. I think the issue that's boiling over right now is multiple years of lack of talent, or talent that was supposed to come through but didn't, like with the none and dones, or missing out on the right transfer, that sort of thing. There have been some misses for Keats. I think if they were being honest, they would say the same thing. And with the Manny Bates injury, all those things are magnified. But again, if you watch the team, you can't say that they quit. They haven't quit on Keats. 2, there are some fun pieces with this team too. Darian Sebron has been a revelation this season. Taquavion Smith has come on here as of late. I thought he was actually pretty good in this game against Duke in the loss. So now
1 of 9 for 3 part was the bad part, but yeah,
that was the bad part. But I mean, I've so far I've been impressed with how he's kind of come along, all things considered. But it's interesting. This is all happening, and it's this indictment on Keats, and I get there's more time built into the Keats conversation, but I saw a Wake Forest team try to hang with Duke for about a half, and then they got yammed on for a second half. And that's the one thing that I took away from this loss for NC State. And again, I'm not trying to moral victory this thing. I'm just trying to point out to you, if you feel like this is a team that just checked out, I'm not sure what team you're watching, because anybody would be demoralized at the rate at which Duke was dunking on them.
Yeah.
And at the rate at which Mark Williams and others were blocking them in emphatic, embarrassing fashion. That was a demoralizing way to go about that second half. But State continued to plug away, and as you mentioned, made things interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, interesting in quotes, right? Like, I think even they knew they couldn't get it much closer, but they just kept at it, and they just kept trying. And I know it's not everything. I really, really do. But I'm just saying they deserve your love. Like they this is a team that, and I know that y'all will watch your teams no matter what. We've seen y'all push through even pretty bad seasons in both sports, right? You can stick with this bunch. They deserve it. And they'll make you happy, I think, a few times this season. I really do. I think that they're going to have some pleasant surprises this year, and they'll knock somebody off, and it'll be fun for everyone. I mean, but it's going to be everything's going to have to go their way. Like, everything's going to have to go their way.
Shout out to JC of who covers NC State.
Yeah. And
he had an aside to me in the post game while we were waiting for the coaches to talk. And he just looks at me and he goes, if Paolo Banchero isn't the ACC Player of the Year, that tells me that ACC media members simply got bored with Paolo Banchero and were just looking for something else, because he continues to be the real deal. Is he as explosive as Zion Williamson, like a must-watch, holy goodness, what am I watching type situation? No. Zion was a phenomenon while he was at Duke. But on a night-in, night-out basis, Paolo Banchero impresses. And it's just more of a crystallization of, so this is why Coach K wanted to make this a farewell year. Like, he knew what kind of group that he had, and Paolo Banchero is the focal point of that.
I also think it feels somewhat appropriate that, because I feel like the last decade of Duke basketball has been characterized by an uncharacteristic for Mike Krzyzewski kind of shaky defenses here and there. So it also feels somewhat appropriate. I think that this is, one of their better defensive teams in the last 10 years or so. And that feels appropriate for his last season too.
One last thing. Can we stop with the tractor references at Cameron Indoor Stadium? It's 2022, yo. It's not 1980.
I mean,
it's not the 90s. I mean, as my guy
I was actually pleasantly surprised there weren't more like farm references on the cheer sheet that I saw, because look, it happens. I went to UNC. There were all the jokes made by UNC people too. But like especially now that I'm an adult, it's like, man, we need farms. And also, have you had their food? Like, it's really good. Like, what's to make fun of about that? They make good food. They help make us like sustenance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's dunk on that.
I don't. Well, it's also like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like the whole concept needs a reboot. The cheer sheet, the Cameron Crazy cheer sheet had something referencing the Mark Godfrey year where they only won 4 games.
Yeah.
Like to make fun of that. Who was, because they were talking about the IARP and just got vacated and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know a state fan that
what was one of those wins, Lauren?
Oh, right. Yeah, that one. But it doesn't count anymore.
Doesn't count at all. Anyway, this went, and we'll close on this. This went the way things have gone for Mike Krzyzewski against NC State in Durham for a very, very long time. I know we talked about it earlier in the week. You, me, and Gilio. Last time NC State went to Cameron Indoor Stadium and beat Duke with Mike Krzyzewski on the bench was in 1988. In 1995, it was Pete Gaudette, and then that Dennis Smith season where we don't talk about it, that was Jeff Capel on the sideline. So I guess that was one of those, Coach K looked at John Shire and said, I got this one. It's my farewell season. I just want to make sure that I keep this thing going.
Yeah. I did tell you he'd be back, though.
Yeah,
just saying.
Yeah.
And for the record, I'm joking about like the virus not being real for him on the road, y'all. I'm kidding. It's a joke. Okay, but also he did come back.
I would think it's funny if they come up with a new excuse for every road game going forward.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. That's what I want to have happen because it would be so funny.
I'm trying to think where they go next.
Boston College?
Oh, yeah.
Coach K forgot that he has a baptism that day, like one of his grandkids. It's really important.
So his iPhone crashed, and he's going to go to the cell store. He's going to go, I don't know where he goes, Verizon, AT&T, or whatever, but, that's like the only time they could get him in. So he's not going to be able to make it. He's got a Genius Bar appointment at the streets of South Point Mall, and you all know how ridiculous it is. You know how crazy it is to get in at the streets of South Point? So Coach K's got to keep that. Sorry, Boston College.
That's right.
Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the ACC Panic Room. We'll see you all later in the week.